Imagine this. It's March 10th, 2000. You're worth $47 million on paper. By March 11th, you're selling your BMW to cover rent. What if I told you that in exactly 24 months, $5 trillion would simply vanish? Not stolen, not taxed, just gone, evaporated like digital smoke. This is the story of the greatest financial massacre in tech history. The dot-com bubble didn't just pop, it detonated. It obliterated life savings, vaporized companies overnight, and left Silicon Valley looking like a financial war zone. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. That apocalypse? It accidentally built the foundation for Amazon, Google, Facebook, and literally everything in your pocket right now. This is how the internet died, was buried, and then rose from the grave to conquer the world. Once upon a time, in the prehistoric era of 1995, a bone-chilling sound haunted American households. That unholy screech, that was the internet logging on. Slowly, painfully, magically. The internet was a glorious mess. It blinked. It buzzed. It sounded like a haunted fax machine possessed by the ghost of technological ambition. Nobody truly understood it. But everyone knew with religious certainty, that this thing would change everything. Early pioneers like AOL, Yahoo, and Netscape blazed the trail. The internet was the Wild West, except instead of gunslingers, you had software engineers wearing Birkenstocks with socks, debating Linux kernels at 3 a.m. You'd wait 7 minutes to load a pixelated GIF of a dancing baby. And you'd wait gladly, because simply being online made you feel like a prophet of the digital age. Even if you had zero idea what JavaScript actually did, you were convinced you were witnessing, no, creating, the next industrial revolution. Then Wall Street caught wind of it. Upon hearing the phrase online bookstore, venture capitalists reacted like a Labrador hearing a bag of chips open. Investors, drunk on optimism and sugar-free Red Bull, poured billions into anything, ending in .com. Suddenly, every startup followed the same magical formula. A terrible idea, a logo designed in Microsoft Paint, and a founder who could say synergy, first mover advantage, or paradigm shift 3 times per pitch without laughing. Congratulations. You now had a $100 million valuation. No product, no problem, no revenue. Even better, revenue was for boomers. Pets.com, famous for its adorable sock puppet mascot, and its incredible ability to burn through $300 million while selling 50-pound bags of dog food at a loss. Investor response: give them more money. eToys, burned through cash like a Bond villain hosting a barbecue with gasoline-soaked steaks. Wevan, promised to deliver groceries with the speed and precision of a military drone strike, then collapsed like a souffle in an earthquake. But nobody blinked. The NASDAQ quadrupled. IPOs were the new celebrity weddings. The media couldn't get enough. By 1999, the hype reached final boss level. Super Bowl ads featured companies nobody had heard of. Some had no product, no office, no plan. One commercial literally just said, "Our website launches in March. Please clap." And the crowd? They clapped. They clapped hard. People weren't investing in businesses anymore. They were investing in vibes, in possibilities, in fever dreams. Stock prices soared. Everyone was rich on paper. Teenagers day traded from their bedrooms. Your aunt with the crystal collection was buying tech stocks. Your dentist probably had a side hustle coding JavaScript between root canals, desperately trying to get NASDAQ listed. Between 1998 and 2000, over 12,000 new dot-coms were born. Their offices? Ping pong tables, massage chairs, nap pods, cereal bars, scooters indoors. If your office looked like a daycare center for billionaires, you were the next Microsoft. Nobody asked about profits. Revenue was a myth. Burn rate. Glorious. It wasn't about making money. It was about scaling. Scaling to what? Nobody knew. But that didn't stop them. And through it all, one sentence echoed in every boardroom, every pitch deck, every breathless CNBC segment. This time, it's different. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. But while the circus raged on, a few quiet nerds watched from the shadows. Jeff Bezos, Larry Page, Sergey Brin, Elon Musk. They watched the hype train barrel toward a cliff at full speed, and they quietly started building the tracks for what came after. The real internet hadn't arrived yet, but it was coming. March 10th, 2000. The NASDAQ hit an all-time high, 5,048 points. Champagne flowed. Office chairs rolled. Celebrations broke out like it was New Year's Eve in Times Square. This wasn't a bubble. This was the future unfolding in real time. And then, almost imperceptibly, things began to break. A few dot-coms started missing earnings. Suddenly, questions once considered optional came roaring back. Wait, what's your revenue? How many actual customers do you have? Are you profitable? Wevan, after spending over $1 billion building a hyper-optimized grocery empire, reported devastating losses. Pets.com admitted it was hemorrhaging cash with no end in sight. The mood shifted. Confidence, confusion, doubt, panic. The NASDAQ didn't dip. It plummeted. Over the next 2 years, it fell 78%, from 5,048 to 1,114. $1.7 trillion in market value disappeared. Not lost, not transferred, just gone. More than half of all dot-coms shut down. Some were sold for scraps. Others simply vanished, like they'd never existed. Amazon lost 95% of its market value. Headlines screamed, Amazon.bomb. Yahoo stock cratered. eBay barely survived, kept afloat by niche buyers trading Beanie Babies and used Furbies. For one surreal moment, the most financially stable website in Silicon Valley appeared to be Neopets. It wasn't just companies that evaporated. It was belief. Offices emptied. Stock options became worthless overnight. Engineers packed up desks. Foosball tables ended up in dumpsters. CEOs once featured on magazine covers now gave TEDx talks titled, How I Lost Everything and Found Myself. The media flipped the script instantly. Venture capital dried up overnight. Startups were ghosted. Boardrooms went silent. The narrative had flipped. The internet wasn't the new electricity. It was the new tulip mania, a fad, a costly detour. Anything with .com in the name became radioactive. Some companies rebranded just to survive. College students switched majors. Enrollment in computer science programs dropped over 30% by 2005. Why learn to code if all it gets you is a pink slip? The dream, for many, was over. But even as the ashes settled, something unexpected began to take shape. Something quieter, more resilient, more real. In 2001, Wall Street had Amazon marked for death. Stock fell from $17 to $6. But Bezos didn't flinch. We don't deliver dreams. We deliver books. He shut down unprofitable ventures, cut costs, refocused on one idea: get products to customers faster, cheaper, better. If a customer in Nebraska wanted a paperback by Thursday, Amazon made it happen, not through vision statements, but through logistics. Meanwhile, Google was still just 2 Stanford grad students in a garage. No commercials, no IPO, just code. Their mission was simple: make search results more useful. While others chased headlines, Brin and Page refined algorithms that would quietly redefine the internet. They also had a side experiment called AdWords. It would later become the foundation of modern digital advertising. But at the time, just a clever way to keep the lights on. eBay kept doing one thing well: connecting people. From collectible coins to used fax machines, it was strange, simple, and sustainable. What separated survivors from casualties? One word: profitability. They had customers, revenue, a working business model. They weren't pitching vague dreams. They were solving real problems people cared about. They grew after they proved demand. They hired after they had cash flow. It wasn't flashy, but it worked. Here's the twist. Billions had been poured into servers, fiber optic cables, data centers, developer talent. And when the companies disappeared, the tools remained. Like Roman roads that outlived the empire, the internet's skeleton stayed behind. By 2003, the fog cleared. The next generation wasn't pitching grand revolutions. They were building platforms. Facebook started in a dorm room. YouTube emerged from a garage. Twitter? A side project with uncertain origins. They didn't throw launch parties. They built quietly, on top of the infrastructure their predecessors left behind. Then, in 2007, Steve Jobs stepped onto a stage. He held up a small glass rectangle. This is the iPhone. The internet stopped being something you accessed. It became something you lived inside. Constant, portable, personal. The rebirth was complete. Google wasn't a website. It was a verb. Amazon wasn't a gamble. It was convenience redefined. The internet wasn't a bubble anymore. It was the backbone of modern life. The companies that survived became titans. The ones that didn't, they became cautionary tales. LinkedIn posts, podcast episodes. Yes, the internet almost died in 2000. Overhyped, misunderstood, brought to the edge of collapse. But in the wreckage, a quieter, more focused internet was born. Not because of wild ideas or grand visions, but because a few stubborn builders refused to quit. The internet didn't die, it rebooted, and then it reshaped the world.